a state where somebody is free of an illness or a state where somebody is free of an injury. That is to say, if you want to put these two together, then you are looking at a state of someone's mind which is healthy, or a state of someone's mind that is free of anything that would make them unhappy, anything that would lose interest in life, so to say. So this would have to encompass of the person's emotion, the person's psychology, and the person's social well-being. So I would define mental health as social, psychological, and then the social. So I've mentioned social, psychological, and then your emotional well-being. These things put together is what defines what mental health is. Then if you want to look at why this is important in leadership, speaking from experience as a leader, mental health is something you cannot do away without. Immediately you are not mentally healthy, productivity is affected as a leader. Immediately you are not mentally healthy, your resilience in whatever it is that you are leading, whatever it is that you are doing, begins to drop. Immediately you are not mentally healthy, you no longer become effective in whatever role you are playing, because leaders need that ability to make good decisions. So you realize that such people begin to make poor decisions, they have strained relationships, and they struggle when it comes to even prioritizing the task that has to be done. So that is what mental health is, and that is how it affects leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arthur-Hayford. Please, Ms. Fridah, you have an answer to the question.
Okay, as my previous panelists have discussed, mental health is generally, it affects how we think, we do and feel. That is, as my fellow panelists have said, that mental health encompasses our social, physical, and emotional well-being. So having the right mental health, it will help us in coping with issues like socializing emotionally and psychologically. And it's very crucial when it comes to leadership. You need to be on the right mental health so that you can do everything that you're supposed to do correctly and rightly. Mental health is also crucial when it comes to human rights. As the way we take care of our physical health, also mental health must be one of them. Okay, so when we talk about the need, what's the need of being with the mental health? The first thing, it enhances our overall well-being, where it gives us the ability on perform daily activities. As for the leaders, when you have the right mental health, it will help us to perform rightly in our daily activities. And the other thing, it gives us resilience. It will help us cope with the challenges that we have. And also it's as a productivity to performance. Like everything that we do in each and everyday life, it gives us that ability of making decisions and problem solving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fridah. Please, does anyone from the audience have any contribution? Please, you can raise your hands and call you. Okay, thank you all for your insightful responses. It is clear that mental health is not just an individual concern, but a key factor in an effective leadership. That takes us to our next question. Leadership is often What are some practical tips that leaders can adopt to take care of their mental health? Mr. Arthur, please, do you have?
So could you please take your question again?
Please, the question is, what are some practical tips that leaders can adopt to take care of their mental health?
Okay. Great. So I discussed earlier how mental health actually affects your leadership roles. And as a leader, one of the things that you need to most definitely do in order to um, protect your mental health is to set boundaries. You see, often leaders want to put on the always say yes approach because they feel like I am the one in front. I need to make sure that my people are okay and all of that. But it would amaze you how better you would do if you learn to say no and protect your personal time. So there's time to lead, and there's time to learn. There's time to lead, and there's time to reflect. There's time to lead, and there's time to put your thoughts and stuff together. The time for you to put these things together, the time for you to prioritize your own health is not a time to say yes to certain things. So you need to set boundaries. Then again, leadership does not actually mean you should do everything alone. And that is one of the things that we need to all practice if we want to become very good leaders and stay in good mental health. You need to understand that delegation is part of the journey of leadership. If you are unable to always delegate and you want to be the one doing it all, it most likely would lead to you being stressed out. And most likely, if you are not careful, this can get into a different state and sometimes lead to mental breakdown. Because we find ourselves often too busy with leadership roles. As I said, I've been leading World Investing for 5 years, and this is in addition to other things that I do. So you would almost always find me doing something. But I came to realize and understand that to have a good health, both physically and mentally, you need to practice self-care. And what I mean by practicing self-care is that you need to cut down on the excuses for not eating well, not getting enough rest, and all of those things. So I've mentioned the fact that as leaders, we need to learn to set boundaries. We need to learn to delegate tasks because you can't always do it all. You need to understand that practicing self-care is part of the leadership journey. There are times where I get tired, I get worked out, and I have to communicate to the team that I would want to take a break at this moment. It doesn't make you a worse leader. It only means that you are prioritizing yourself as well as the team, because the truth of the matter is there is nobody that does very well when they are not in a good state of mind. If you are not mentally healthy, leading your team becomes questionable. So it's better to prioritize yourself, be in the best state so that you can actually lead your team. The last thing I would talk about is that you need to learn to seek support. Leaders are like men. What I mean by that is that research has shown that men do not like to seek um, counseling because they feel like I'm the man, I need to deal with it. And it has become an attitude of many leaders. When there is a need to speak to somebody as a leader, my dear, go and speak to the person. Speak to that trusted friend, speak to that mentor. If you need to see a therapist because your health, as long as your mental health is concerned, you need to prioritize these things. So just to sum up, I've mentioned the fact that let's seek support when we need to. If you need to take a break and learn to practice self-care. Learn to do that exercise you've been postponing. Learn to eat well. Learn to have enough rest. Do not always carry everything upon your head. Delegate to your team members when you have to. And most important, learn to set boundaries as a leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing such useful tips with us. Please, Ms. Roseanne, please do you have any contribution?
That was an amazing submission from Arthur. To add on, he said most of it, but to add on, I would also say that the number one tip leaders should adopt in order to take care of their mental health is to prioritize sleep. It is believed that a well-rested mind improves decision making and emotional resilience. Leaders should learn how to prioritize sleep. They should learn how to make time to have a good rest. They should learn how to make time for themselves. At least learn how to put themselves first so that they're able to pour from a full cup. and ensure that the people in the group they are presiding over are getting nothing but the best from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Roseanne. Miss Frida, did you have anything you want to add?
Okay. The other thing also, as a psychologist, what I can advise for a leader in the tips of creating a good mental health is to practice relaxation techniques. These relaxation techniques are like taking deep breaths when you are alone. Make sure like you have that safe space that where you can have somebody that you can tell him or her the things that they are disturbing you internally and also externally. Also, the other thing on still relaxation techniques, as both of my fellow panelists have said, like have that enough sleep so that it can enhance your tomorrow's performance. And the other thing that I can also add on top of that is that being a leader, it's not that everything is on you. You also need to have share responsibilities between you and the other colleagues. That's why where you find in a company, there are also departments. These other departments are to help you as a leader to run up things in the company in a correct way so that you can also have that space of you to relax. And also is I can add up on to be able to cope with challenges in resilience. As a leader, whenever you have a challenge, like you should always be resilient on how to cope with them, so that you can be able to manage the stress. So these are some of the tips that I can add up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those insightful contributions. It is clear that creating a safe space for open conversation, practicing relaxation techniques, and prioritizing mental well-being are essential for effective leadership. As you've heard from our panelists, taking care of ourselves allows us to lead with clarity, resilience, and empathy. But what happens when leaders push themselves too hard? That brings us to our next question. What advice do you have for individuals who constantly find themselves overextending and unable to take a break? Miss Frida, please.
Okay, for leaders, there was a kind of distraction on my side. Okay, what I'll explain on the leaders taking too much, like they need to compete for things. First of all, they need to redefine services. Services is not about doing, it's the act of performance and empowerment. That's what the first thing they need to do. Okay, on the other thing, as a leader, they need also to work to prioritize on some of the long-lasting things rather than of that of the short-term effects. And the other thing also like building responsibilities between him and between the leader, between the leader and the other responsible members in the team, so that they can be able to enhance services effectively.
Thank you so much, Miss Frida, for your advice. Miss Roseanne, please, do you have any advice to give?
I would also say that leaders should learn how to celebrate small wins. You must be able to acknowledge progress at every point in your leadership journey and also give yourself credit for efforts. Being able to acknowledge your progress and giving yourself credit for your efforts is a sure way to propelling you to work hard at achieving greater things with your team. Also, leaders should be able to learn how to adopt a sustainable pace, hence introduce balance in all their endeavors, so as not to give more into a particular aspect of their lives at the mercy of the others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roseanne. Mr. Arthur, please go ahead.
Alright, so just two things to add to this. If I get the context of this distraction very well, now we are addressing a leader who is overworking him or herself in service to others. Now, this is something you find very common in organizations where the leader is overworking themselves because I am the one in the front. But usually, the mistake most of such leaders make is that they measure their success by the number of hours they are working rather than the outcome. So the first thing that if you're a leader on this call, you should start practicing is measure your success by your outcomes rather than the hours you've worked. If you can work for 2 hours and the outcome is perfect, there is no need working for 4 hours. If you can work for just an hour and you'll be able to give a very perfect outcome, my dear, there is no need working for 5 hours because you are the leader and still get the same results you would have gotten in 1 hour. So learn to measure your outcomes rather than the hours you have worked. Then the other thing that I would want to add is every leader must learn to build a system. If you build a system and a team that does not require your constant presence, the possibility that you are unlikely to be stressed out is very high. Because in as much as we are there to lead, you are there to actually empower those you are leading to be able to run things when you are not around. So two things: measure your success by your outcomes rather than the hours you work, and then learn to build a system and a team that can work perfectly without your presence when need be.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arthur. Please, does anyone have a question or an insight to add to what the panelists have said?
Anel, I think someone's hand is up.
Okay, Miss Erica, please, can you go ahead?
Hello, please, can I be heard?
Yes, please.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank the team who put this together. I think it's a topic that is not mostly talked about, but then it needs to be discussed. So kudos to the team for putting this together. So my question goes to Dr. Hayford. So he mentioned that normally leaders measure success by the number of hours, but then they should measure it by the outcome instead. So what happens when you're in a team and then the leaders keep the entire team overworked? And I mean, apart from working leave, they expect you to put in weekends, they expect you to put in holidays, they expect you to put in late hours to get the job done. How, if you're in a team like that, how do you go about that? Thank you.
Please, does anyone have an answer to your question?
Erica, I need to get what you're asking clearly. So you are asking what you should do if you are the team member, or you're asking what to do if you are the leader. Which position are you taking?
The team member.
Right. So if you are a team member and your leader is over demanded, you see, I mentioned earlier that there must be structures in place in every organization. For instance, you do an 8 to 5 job, and unfortunately for you, the rest of the tax your boss always wants to bring in are things that would come in at say 5, you close at 5. So let's say 4:30 p.m. thereabouts, and then you receive an email that I need you to do this and that and that and that. And before, in fact, when you look at what is being requested of you, you realize that there are things that if you should start now, you are going to close at 7 p.m. Now, one thing that followers do not like to do is to learn to be assertive being assertive respectfully. I would reply to that email and actually let you know that unfortunately, if I'm to start this tax, I'm unlikely to complete it before 5 p.m. Would you rather I do it early tomorrow morning? This is the thing. There are some things that if we do not handle now, and we can handle it the next day. So I personally had that issue at work. I realized that I was staying to do things that I could even do the next day. And my sub mind was feeling like, yes, you're a hero. You're overstaying to get it done. Yes, it's a good thing, but you realize that with time that is not sustainable. What rather I would do is that if what I am doing now is something that I can push it tomorrow and still have the results I need to get, and no one is affected because I did it tomorrow, I would rather do it tomorrow. This is not procrastination. This is prioritizing, or this is putting in things on the right scale. I can stay and do it and close at 7 p.m. and I would get the same outcome. I can wait and start 8 a.m. when I come to work tomorrow and get the same outcome, and nobody's affected. So you would rather have to do it the next day. That's just a scenario. There are times where, for instance, your leader is over demanding. You are being asked to work from Monday to Sunday, and Monday to Sunday, instead of even 8 to 5, you are probably doing 8 to 8 p.m. Meanwhile, on your contract is 8 to 5 p.m. Now, there must always, that's why I said you need to be assertive respectfully. Approach your leader. Tell him or her that, unfortunately, I think I am breaking down because of how my schedules have been. Leave is mandatory in every organization. If you feel at a point, that's why I said that you need to take break. If you feel at a point that it's becoming too much, which one would you want to do? Take the break, come back, and be very active and work, than to let the work break you down and go home. In fact, you don't recover from whatever is wrong with you, and the company won't stop running. One ideal thing that you all need to understand is society is such that if you are down today, we say that, oh, and nobody can replace me. See, the things I do, nobody can do. When I go, they will see. Sweetheart, if you go, somebody will come and do it. So learn to prioritize yourself even as you are executing your duties. Erica, I wish and hope that I have addressed your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arthur. The next question is, stress is inevitable, but how we handle it makes all the difference. Can you share a personal instance where you faced a significant stress and how you managed it? Any lessons you learned that could help other leaders? Please, does anyone have or wants to share a personal instance where you faced a significant stress and how you managed it? Miss Fridah, please, do you have any personal instance that you want to share with us?
Okay, thank you so much. I have this. I was in this kind of situation one day as I was launching my association. Everything was well organized, but then came a problem where we had a problem with the t-shirts printing, where the person that we had given the responsibility of bringing the t-shirts did not come on time, and already the launching had already commenced. So this was very stressful for me because I just felt, how will everybody that I have invited, how will they feel about me? This is my first launching of the association, and there is a disorganization and that lack of communication between I and the person who was supposed to bring the t-shirts. So it was so stressful moment for me. But what I came to learn about it's that in such a situation, you need to have an open communication between you and the people that you have organized the thing that you want it to be successful. That is the first thing that I came to learn. And overall, after that, there is that kind of stress that you have in how people now seeing you. In stress management, what I did, actually, I cried. And after that, I had to look for a person who will just talk and help me coping with this stress. So, first thing that I can advise somebody who needs to manage his or her stress, have that mentor, have that therapist who will help you in managing stress, because stress is not good. If you keep it, it can lead to depression. And the other thing that you need, have that be open, not to everyone, but be open to that friend that you need to share it, because they said whatever you talk, it just gets out. That's what we say here in Kenya. Yeah, and the other thing also, like I can also say about stress management, the first thing I say is out, look for a person to talk with. Visit a mentor or a therapist, that personal therapist that you have. Also, bring yourself together and see what's the problem. What is this thing that it's giving you stress? And after that, you can be able to figure out on how to cope with it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fridah, for sharing your personal experience with us. Ms. Roxanna, please, do you want to share your personal experience with us so that the upcoming leaders could learn from it?
Right. I remember when I changed jobs last year, September. This particular role was a role I was new to. I had no idea about, but I was willing to learn on the job and make things happen, get the results I desired. So what I did was I created my plan. I asked for help from people who are already in the industry. I practiced self-care. I was always being positive about getting the work done. But hey, after 2 months, I was not getting the results I needed. And then I realized that I had become so overwhelmed, very, very overwhelmed. So what I finally did was I asked for a break from my supervisor, and then I think she gave me 1 day. But because of the way I was feeling extremely overwhelmed, I decided to go to the hospital, and I was told that my blood pressure was low and other things. So the doctor gave me 3 days off. So 3 days off and asked me to go and rest. And it's in resting, I decided to just put everything away, and I didn't even consider reflecting on how I felt and all of that, taking the new role. But I'm glad that I listened to how my body felt, sought the doctor's help, got the rest days, utilized the rest days well, and went back to work with a totally new attitude in getting the work done. So I would say that managing stress requires intentional actions. You need to be intentional, and you need to always stay organized and ensure that you have at least some form of balance in between your tasks. your tasks so that you are not giving attention to one of them at the mercy of the other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roseanne, for sharing your personal experience with us. Mr. Arthur, please, can you share your personal instance where you faced stress and how you managed it?
I am now. So I think I already started off when I was addressing Erica's question. So the stress, or let me say the experience I was going to share was still linked to work and having a lot of things to do, trying to do a lot of things at the same time. Now, I mentioned that there was a time where I was staying way past work hours, and here in Ghana, you know how traffic can be. So you finish all that stress and you have to, finish all that workload. You get off the office and you have to be in traffic for like 24 hours. That's a lie. For like a very long time, just to exaggerate. And you get back home and it's another tax and another tax and another tax. So I think the first thing that I did that helped me was reflections. You see, most of us don't practice reflections because, in quote, sometimes it sounds foreign. Now, reflection, yeah, if you speak to you, understand what I'm saying. But reflection, like, what should I do with reflection? Reflection, that's what I mean by reflection is you need to be intentional, sit down, and think through everything. You would always find one thing to eliminate. When you eliminate that particular thing out of your daily routine, or there's this particular thing I always find in my daily routine, will taking it out affect my work? Yes, it will. Fine, then that's not it. Will taking it out affect? No. Will adding it up increase anything? No. It's the first thing to do. Eliminate it. Because I realized there was a particular thing I was committing to that was just taking time. It was not yielding any benefit to myself or anyone around me. So I took it out. That was actually what most of us have become victims to. Endless scrolling. You are just scrolling. You are just, before you realize it's 10 minutes gone. Before you realize it's 20 minutes gone. Before you realize 30 minutes gone, and you are just watching somebody dancing on TikTok. I'm not saying entertainment is bad, but you see, we give time to certain things that end up becoming stress in a way, because instead of using that time to do what you were supposed to do, you've repurposed it for something that was not supposed to be for, and now you have to make up for it. So you have to stay up. You have to stay up even at dawn to submit that particular task that was given to you and all of that. So the first thing I did was reflect, find out what I need to take out of my schedule. 2, I've mentioned this already. I noticed also that part of the thing that was stressing me was that there were petty things that people of the team were supposed to do that I had to come back and do even after assigning it. So the next thing is learn to build your team. See, it's for your own advantage. Learn to build your team so solidly that if you are there or not, it can be done. Else, you would have to stay up and be doing every single thing that you've told them to do again. 2 things. Reflect, eliminate things that are not necessary. That's the third. Build, if your stress is coming from a teamwork, build your team in such a way that if you are not there, the team can still function. That is when you get rest. Else, you always would be working. You always have to be the one doing something. The last one is I realized a weakness within myself, and it was that I felt that delegating is sometimes a risk. But see, if you don't delegate for the person to make the mistake, for you to correct it, and then later on the person carries it on, you would always be stuck on the same thing yourself. So delegate, and delegate again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arthur, Ms. Roseanne, and Ms. Fridah for sharing your personal experiences with us and telling us different ways we can manage them in case we face such stressful situation? Yes, please, Miss Erica.
Oh, sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Does anyone have any other contribution? Okay. For young leaders just starting their journey, what key advice would you give them when it comes to managing their mental health? Miss Roseanne, please can you give us some advice? Okay. Miss Frida, please for the young leaders just starting their journey.
Hi there. Sorry,
key
my
advice?
network is switching. So sorry. So sorry. So, young leaders who are starting out in their journey in mental health management have basic things to do. Number one, they have to start early. They have to develop healthy habits from the onset to prevent burnouts later in the journey. So they have to ensure that they are prioritizing their self-care, they are sleeping well, they are eating well, they are taking breaks when necessary, they are doing the delegations, they are saying no, they are enforcing the boundaries. They also have to recognize their limits, know what your strength can do, know how far your strength can take you. Do not break your back because you want to impress the people around you or the people in your space. It doesn't work that way. And also understand that you cannot do everything at once. That's why there's time for everything. But you need to ensure that you are making the impact within a specific period of time. You also have to surround yourself with supportive people, people that are able to commend you for your good works, people that are able to tell you the truth in your face when you go wrong, people who are able to constructively criticize you and give you ideas as to how to make your wrongs right. Lastly, you have to learn about stress management in general and adopt the specific stress management tip that works best for you. As we are totally different people, what might work for person A might not work for person B. So if you're able to figure out the particular stress management tip that works best for you, it's in the right direction to ensuring that your leadership journey starts well as should be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Roseanne. And thank you, Mr. Arthur and Miss Frida, for all your insightful responses. Please, any last comments? Miss Erica, please, do you have any contribution you want to make? Please, does anyone have?
Okay, hello. I also feel like in the question that you just asked, there is this essential thing that a young leader needs to work on his or her mental health management. That is self-awareness. Always be aware of your strengths and your weakness. And also the other thing is about emotional intelligence. This is the state of understanding your emotions and how to increase and decrease it in different situations. And in adding up on the points that I've just stated, also have that self-advocacy. Self-advocacy, uh, it's all about yourself, all about all the things that you need to prioritize in your life. And also, for a young leader, I think you need to have that mentor, because before I build my association, I had to look for a mentor who will always help me, guide me, and give me the correct directions on the right path to take. And also, be open on your fellow members. Always be open and communicate effectively. Actually, good communication in any leadership, it's essential. And also adding up, have empathy. I think these are the things that I'm trying to mention here are one of the leadership skills that a leader that a leader should have. Empathy is the state of understanding a person or keeping yourself in one's shoes. So as a young leader who needs to manage mental health, they need to have these key things, which are self-awareness, self-advocacy, emotional intelligence, empathy, and also have that mentor or a therapist who will help you, will guide you or direct you in the right path that you need to have. And also, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fridah. Mr. Asa, please, do you want to make any last comments?
Yes, I definitely would want to make a last comment. So this is to everybody on the call, all right? Anyone that is into leadership, anyone that is into, in fact, every form of leadership. You know, I've always had this trust and belief and principle that leadership always starts with yourself. If you want to be a good leader, if you want to be able to lead others, you should be able to lead yourself. And leading yourself actually includes prioritizing things that would affect your health, whether mentally or physically. So I just want you to reflect, ask yourself what you are going to do different. What is it that you've been doing that is draining you? And learn that I am also important to my own self. Before you lead anybody, you need to learn to lead yourself. If you're able to lead yourself very well, then you'll be able to lead every other person around you. Prioritize self-care. This particular thing is something I keep emphasizing. See, you need to learn to take command of your health. I've been saying this phrase everywhere because you need to learn to take command of your health. Your health is all you've got, whether mental or physical. And your leadership is as good. Your leadership, like in a group or leading others, is as good as leading yourself. If you're unable to lead your own self to make the right decisions for yourself, it is very unlikely that you make the right decisions for others. Thank you very much. And of course, I would like to stay in touch with you all. So what I'm going to do right now is I have just sent a message into the chat session with links on how you can connect with me. Let's stay in touch, and I believe that we will always do amazing things together. Guys, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arthur. From what our panelists have said, taking mental health seriously from the start of one's leadership journey can make a significant difference in how effectively we lead and inspire others. As we wrap up, I want to extend my deepest appreciation to our incredible panelists, Ms. Roxanne, Ms. Emily, and Mr. Arthur. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us today. And of course, a huge thank you to all our attendees for engaging with us in this important conversation. Nanike Africa's Leadership Dialogue continues to provide spaces for impactful discussions like this, so stay connected with us for future sections. Until next time, take care and continue to prioritize your mental well-being and have a great day.